5, or what I would do, what I would do is I would introduce Karai into the film, into the second film, so she can avenge Shredder in Japan while the turtles are there, either on business or whatever, either on business or just for a vacation. And by introducing Karai, what I would also do is I'd have her either with Karai or returning Shredder. I would have her bring in. I would have her take some of the unknown foot soldiers or punks or whatever they are, purple dragons, if you will. I would have her take them and mutate them into into the CGI version of Bebop, Rocksteady, or Toka and Razor. I'd have her do that. Have her or Shredder do that, or even Han. And then what I would do is just when it looks like the turtles are getting overmatched, I would have Ninjara make her debut in the movie. I'm not lying, folks. I would have Ninjara make her debut in the movie as sort of a mystery assailant or mystery ally to the turtles. That's right. I would introduce her as sort of a mystery ally to the turtles. Someone that's keeping an eye on what's going on, sort of like a protector of Japan, sees what's going on, sees the turtles as not her enemy. Well, sees them as her enemy at first, but then realizes they're not. I would do that, folks. I would go in that direction. I know that sounds crazy. Now, again, if they were to continue on with the movies and then continue on with the new series that follows, here's what I would do for the series to follow up. Here's what I would do with the animated series to follow up on, let's say, the second movie. If they make a second movie, I would follow up by having, well, like I said, I would take some of the best things out of all the continuities and put them in there. One of the other best things I liked about it was the times April would end up being mutated or transformed into something she wasn't. That's what I would keep the transformation of April into almost anything. I would keep that in there. I would keep that in there. I would keep April in there. I would keep the April transformation in the cartoon. And I would have her. And here's what I would do. She's already mutated and transformed into a cat. And that was in the 80s cartoon. As well as into a fish woman and temporarily into a queen bee or a wasp queen or whatever. I would have her. And then, she's done that, and recently she's also transformed into a demon in the Back to the Sewers cartoon. So here's what I would do with April. If a new cartoon was to be made and released between the times the first movie and possibly a second movie was to be released, here's what I would do. I would keep the April transformation, but I'd make it to where April temporarily, because I know this is what fans have been waiting for, gets mutated into a female turtle. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I would do. I'd mutate her into a female turtle, but that wouldn't be the only transformation I'd give her. No. I'd give her 3 transformations in this series. One would be mutated temporarily into a turtle. Second, I would have her mutated and brainwashed for one episode into I don't know, sort of like a demon mutant, something like a demonized mutant or something. That's what I would do. Not like what we saw in Back to the Sewer, but something more frightening, something more demon-like. That's what I would do with her. And then her third transformation, I would give her the temporary, because this is something that you've seen in a lot of cartoons and live actions as well. You always have to get the female to have some kind of liquid power, some kind of liquidy, morphine, watery, slime-like power, whatever you want to call it. I would give her that. I'd give her the temporary power to turn into some kind of liquid to where she could slip under the cracks of doors, shapeshift into anything, like, say, a dresser drawer or a TV to hide herself or whatever. I would do that. I would give her that power. And if I was to give her a fourth one, It's real simple. Again, just for one episode, I give her the power I'd give her the power to temporarily, for one episode, get merged with a car. I'm not lying, folks. Those would be the 4 transformations I would put into the new series for April to happen to April, because that's been one of the popular traits. Whether people want to believe it or not, that's been one of the popular traits. I would keep that in there. And then if a third and final film was to be made, I would bring that in there as well. But I would choose just one transformation out of the 4, or maybe something totally original and different as a mutation transformation for April in the third to maybe fourth and last movie, if one is made, if a third and last movie is made, depending on if the first one's even successful. And again, this all depends. The second movie, the third movie, and everything in between all depends on if the first movie and the first movie is successful, as well as the first season of the new cartoon. But again, what I would do for the third movie, pending on the success of the first one, I would take the transformation, the deal of mutating and transforming April into something that she's not. I would put that in the third and final movie, because I would just stick with the trilogy. And what I would do is I would pick one of the 4 that I used recently in the series, in the newer series, or I'd pick something totally different and original. That's what I would do. And also, for the third film, I would have her finally maybe become a reporter. Sort of like, use the second film to sort of have her go to Japan, go on vacation and everything, and kind of acknowledge that probably in between films she's going to go to school to become a reporter, a news reporter and all that, or whatever. And then in the third film, finally have her be a reporter. And then in the third film, introduce the characters of Vern, Irma, Bert, or Byrne, as his name is. Introduce them into the film, in the third film, as well as in the third film, introduce Krang, the Rock Soldiers, and the Technodrome. That's what I would do. And in the third film as well, have Karai finally align herself with the Turtles. Have her survive the second movie. At the end of the second movie, become to realization that the Turtles were never really her enemy, that her father, the Shredder, who raised her, was actually the one that was the true enemy. But again, have Karai survive the second film and then come back and help the Turtles and Ninjara, because I would keep her around, fight Krang, the Technodrome, and the Rock Soldiers. That's what I would do. And again, going into the third season of the animated series, I would probably do a trilogy season on that as well. I'd probably only do 3 seasons, but I would probably follow suit on the third film. Keep April as a reporter. Have Irma, Vern, and Byrne in there as well. Of course, keep Casey Jones in all the movies. Of course, do that. I know some people may not like to hear that, but keep him in there. But, just have that go. Keep him going as well as keep him in the animated shows as well. And then end the series for another, and then finally put closure to this version of the series in this chapter of the franchise, if you will. Then finally bring closure to this franchise in the animated series by doing what they did for the more recent one, and that's put a movie together to be released directly either to Blu-ray, DVD, or theaters. That's what I would do. One of those 3. So it'll bring closure to this chapter of the franchise, and with the animated series to end it, I would make a movie to bring closure to it. And either put it in theaters, DVD, or Blu-ray. But those are my thoughts, basically, on the new TMNT movie and beyond. Sort of response to James Wolfe and Mike Mattel AVGN, and motherfucker Mike of Cinemassacre.com. And that's all I'm going to say about it. You guys tell me what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with them? I will provide a link to that video in my description box. But tell me what you guys think, and I will talk to you all later. Have a good day. And I'm sorry if this was in multiple parts.